Hello everyone and welcome back to Game Brigade. My name is Brian. If you're new here, thank you for joining me. Today on the channel, we are doing another collection update. This is part of the Keep or Sell segment of the show where we talk about what's coming and going on the channel in terms of my collection. And the past month has been awful in terms of me getting way too much stuff in with not enough stuff going out. Seems like it's a repeating storyline here at the Game Brigade Studios. Some of this is contract work where I've done work for channels and they've sent me a gift. Some of it is work where we're collaborating with a company for some coverage. Some of it is backing, where I backed it myself. And other stuff is me just walking to my LGS store and buying something because I thought it looked interesting. So we're going to be talking about all that stuff. But before I do want to say thank you guys to you, the community here at Game Brigade. You know, I have been making videos here on the channel regularly for board game content for almost 5 years now. And it's a little like, you know, it feels good to come in and look at the comments and see all the likes, see all the shares, see the support, see the growth. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers. So I just want to say thank you guys for just being here because I do it for you guys. So without further ado, let's get started. So I think first, I'm going to talk about the coverage video, some games I got for coverage. We'll talk about them. So the first one, this will be easy. Grimcoven. This was sent to me by Awaken Realms. This is obviously a prototype. We just did a video on this one this past month. And I really liked Grimcoven. It was a nice, interesting kind of alternative take on the boss battler scene that we've gotten accustomed to lately through a lot of different games. There were some things I had some issues with. I mentioned that in the video. I think, you know, maybe this is just personal, but I think we had a really, really solid coverage video for Grimcoven in terms of the pros and cons. If you haven't seen that video and you are anyway considering buying this game, I would highly recommend watching that video because I think it's a pretty solid one, at least in my opinion. Let's see, what else do we have here? That was for coverage. Nothing on that side. And I don't have all the prototypes. Okay, we got Wormwood. This is Sovereign Fall of Wormwood has been the rename. Wormwood was the original name, which I like the name Wormwood. I'm not sure why they had to change it. If there was another board game with a similar name, I'm not sure. But this is one that I did coverage on, and it's the one that features all of the different decks. So if you guys remember, you have all these different types of asymmetrical decks that you'll play through. And I really was surprised by this one. Wormwood was a game when they reached out to me. They basically said, hey, Brian, we would love to have you cover our game based off your previous coverage of board games. But we don't have a lot of stock. Would you be okay waiting for the prototype to come available? And so I was like, sure, I don't mind waiting for a prototype if you have one already sent out. It took a while for me to get this one to me, so I actually didn't get it pre-campaign. It arrived sometime when the campaign was already live. So I got this played as quickly as I could and did, you know, so I could get a good understanding of it and did a video of it. But I liked this enough. I'm actually I backed the Kickstarter. I think it might have just ended. Maybe not. I have to check. Got to check my campaign log. I know I'm backing this one right now, so that's that one. The next one we did, which I no longer have, is Aces and Armor. I'm also backing that one for $1. That's a World War II strategy game. I'm a huge World War II fan. I love the setting. I love the war. I feel like it'll be like the last great war that we had in our, well, hopefully, in our world. But just a lot of interesting stories have come from that era. And I just love the timing. So that game was great. I enjoyed it. Kind of a different take on strategic or tactical warfare. So you haven't checked that video out, I checked that one out too. The next one I just did coverage for, I have a lot. One of the reasons, if you might have noticed, I haven't had a lot of videos going live in the past 3 weeks is because I've had a lot of coverage to get through that I agreed to do coverage on. Cyberpunk 2077 was another one that we just did, and I just finished filming this guy. Really fun game. This one from Go On Board, so not the CMON version. This is the Go On Board version. But basically this one, you are trying to complete different types of tactical objectives, but you're in a strict time limit, and there's an app in it that basically counts down, and so you only have so much time in so many rounds to complete your objectives and to go on. It also has an ability to kind of scale up your powers and abilities, which is cool. Kind of reminded me of Cthulhu Death May Die with the ramping. The only thing I didn't like in that regard is it didn't really scale well for the opponents. Like, the opponents didn't also get stronger, at least in the demo here that we got. I'm very excited to see what the campaign looks like. I can't release the video because there's an embargo on this one right now, so no video coming out yet. But I think July 15th is when that embargo lifts. So look for that video then, which is going to be pretty soon here. The next game we haven't played yet, I'm hoping to get this played tomorrow and through the weekend, is Luthier. This is the game from Patterson Games, and they did Distilled. I never played Distilled, but I was so hyped and I wanted to play it. So I went over to their booth at Gen Con and basically introduced myself and said, hey, you know, I did some coverage for Distilled on Kickstarter. I would love to work with you guys in the future. So they demoed a little bit of their game for me at Gen Con. And then they reached out to me and said, hey, Brian, would you be interested in covering it? So, yeah, I'm excited to finally get this played. I've kind of wanted to see how their games kind of work and how they interact. This one, basically, if I remember from the Gen Con demo, you are, building different types of instruments and working with composers. Very, very set in terms of the historical accuracy of kind of this music, these string-based instruments. I'll know more once I've played the game, obviously. Kind of shooting in the dark here in terms of giving you guys the best explanation because I'll know once I played. But I think that's it for my coverage. So those are actually games that are going to be covered that are coming up. We have some more games that have been sent to me that are actually like copies of games for coverage. And those are part of the collection as of right now. So let's talk about them. The first one is really interesting, actually. And this is one that they reached out and they want my wife to cover it. So you'll see some more Jessica coverage here on the channel. But this is Wild Gardens from Rose Gauntlet. And their copy just showed up. And I was, first off, gardening is something I love to do. I think it's so fun. I usually garden like with berry plants. I like, raspberry bushes, strawberry plants. So I really love doing that. And so when these showed up, these are part of like expansions for these games. And if you kind of recognize the design, it's kind of like a seed pack for gardening. I thought that was super clever and really, really sweet. So yeah, my wife will be doing some coverage for this one. Obviously, that'll be might be her first actual review. And I'm not sure if she wants to do it on her own or if she wants me being with her. So I'll figure out how she wants to play that and do it. But I'm excited for her to be more involved here on Game Brigade. I think that'd be super, super cool. So we'll put these down here. And there's one more game that she's going to be involved in, and that's Fabled Eve of Times. Now, this is from Crow D Games. And we've actually covered, I think it's down here, it's right behind me, Fabled, the original one, I covered just prior to Gen Con last year. And they reached out and said, hey, we're going to be having an expansion for Fabled. Would you be interested in covering it? My wife is like, yeah, I love that game. So I said, yeah, send it over. My wife really, really enjoyed this one. So we're excited to get this to the table and play it. So these are her two games that we are going to try to see if she likes doing the stuff with me. I would love to have her be more involved in the channel rather than just playing with me in the background, coming on to the show and expressing her views and her opinions to you guys here at the community. So there's that. We got some, what else down here? I have some Kickstarter stuff. This is something I backed. This is from Dungeon Universalis. I did a coverage for this campaign, but not necessarily for this campaign. I did a review for the base game of Dungeon Universalis. And I basically was like, my basic thought for that game was, if you are a dungeon crawler fan in the board gaming space, this game is probably the best way to get all of your jimmies out for board gaming for dungeon crawlers, because you can literally, it's made to integrate so many different types of systems. It's very complex. It was almost a little too heavy at times, and they brought this expansion out, which added more tiles, some more standees for miniatures. So we backed it. I got it. There's a bunch more. Like I said, there's a standee pack. There's a miniature pack. There's some more neoprene mats. But just for coverage for this channel, for the video, I brought out this little box. So this is the more quest books here, the new challenges, some more quest books. Pretty fun. If you were like really looking for a lifestyle board game dungeon crawler, I think Dungeon Universalis might be the one I'd recommend you to, because it's just so old school, but very, very good at giving you that feel of a true dungeon crawler. Okay, what else we got? Fallout. Okay, so this is Fallout Factions from Modifius, and this is one I did an unboxing video for, and I'm really looking forward to finally breaking this out. This is the starter set, and you know, it's funny, I'm playing Fallout 4, and I mentioned in this video that I haven't gone to Nuka World yet, and I plan to. That was like, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago when I finally actually filmed that and then posted it. I still have yet to go to Nuka World, and I'm like almost level 80 now. I'm like level 79. So, still failing on that. I'm doing other things. I'm constantly just doing random stuff in Fallout. But that's what makes Fallout so fun. But Fallout Factions is a game that's set in Nuka World, and you're actually be playing as different raider factions. Now, the Nuka World expansion features 3 different, like the actual video game expansion, features 3 different raider groups, I believe, and they're all kind of vying for power, and then as the player, you kind of like maybe choose who to back. Again, I haven't been to the expansion, but in this game, there are 2 different raider factions that you're basically going to be dueling against in a tactical tabletop war game. So think of like Warhammer 40K, but very, very like narrowed in terms of the scope. I think there's a version of Warhammer 40K called Kill Team. This would be closer akin to that, where you only have a squad of about 12 guys, and you're maneuvering around the board. It comes with all the terrain that you need, which is pretty sweet. In fact, I can show you some of the stuff because I built them in here. Let me see if I can easily do this. Didn't want to do that. Okay, let's see here. So I put them in baggies to kind of help keep them up, but yeah, so you have a bunch of these terrain. I basically I guess I had some built, but I didn't. Here's like a bench that I built, which is cool. So it comes with all the terrain. I baggied everything that was like a building together, so they're all kind of together, so that when we're ready to play, the only thing I got to figure out what to do is these are sprued minis, so it means you have to build and glue them together, and I'm not sure where I'm going to store them once they're built, because there's not really a good way currently in this box to do it that I found. Maybe there is, I just haven't gotten there yet. Yeah, I'm really surprised. Like the quality of this game looks really good. And then I was kind of perusing on their website and on Amazon, and there's like a bunch of different sets that you can get to enhance this. And these miniatures are also integratable with their primary like game. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, check it out. So that's Fallout Factions. What else we got? Oh, I backed this game. This is the Forest of Adamarian. This is the Explor. Is this volume 2, I think? So Explor is an interesting one. I've covered Explor on my channel a few times. And there are people part of the community. Successful Geek was one of them, if he watches my show, so I don't know. But Successful Geek was one of the guys who was like, you will love Explor if you decide to get it. Well, they eventually came out with these like bigger, like complete box. It was like a reprint campaign. This was volume 2. I went all in on it and just came in. The only thing that frustrates the heck out of me is I still have more boxes, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all of this stuff, and it's kind of hard to organize it all down. Like, I would love to compress everything down to a single box, so I just started with the core box and kind of stopped. And I think that's one of my hang-ups when it comes to board gaming, is sometimes I get overwhelmed by the scope of all the things and getting them condensed down into something more manageable. And then if I don't feel like I'm there yet, I just hang it up. Another example would be these Tenaris adventure games that are back here. They just showed up as well. They should be in this video, but I have a smaller version of them so they can sit back there. But the scope of just opening it up and going through it and putting everything away kind of is just too daunting for me right now. I got too much on my plate to really think about it, so I just kind of push it away. But then unfortunately, that can get pushed out of your mind so far, then you might not go back to it for a very long time, if ever. So the next game, we have a set of 3 games. that are from Arcane Wonders. So they reached out and they were looking for people who were interested in covering some of their games. I said, yes, I would love to. Specifically, Aquatica was one I was really excited for. But they sent me these 3, which I'm super hyped for. So I'm excited to get these to the table for each one. These are more of the retail games that I'm trying to get more coverage of retail-based games on my channel. I do a lot of like these Kickstarter games, and I do reviews of these Kickstarter games, and sometimes those games aren't as easily acquired after the campaign. So, you know, the reviews are really only for those people who actually you know, back the game or thinking about buying it, maybe a secondary market. But I would love to get more coverage of these retail-based games because, you know, funny enough, my friend brought a game over. This would be for another video, but he brought over Wolves from Pandasaurus Games, another retail game, and we played it. And I was like, this is surprisingly like, it's just so refreshing to play a game that's like $50 and just be so good. And I think there's so many games that don't get talked about enough that are those retail games that are really good and don't cost you $400. So I want to try to dive more into those because I'm also a victim of that, of the Kickstarter, you know, coverage stuff. So what can you do? Talking about that, we've got For Glory. This will be one of the next games I'm also going to be checking out. This is from Spielcraft Games. This one frustrated me, and this is just to Spielcraft. They put an insert in here, and you cannot sleeve the game with the insert. So I had to like dump out the insert and do some baggies. This shows you that I'm a true gamer, though, that I actually play my games. Because that just drives me nuts. Like, I use these sleeves to protect my game and also make shuffling things easier. And then when you put them into the insert is like tapered like this at the bottom. So the bottom cards are all going to be bent. Super frustrating. But yeah, we got that. So I tossed the insert. But still very excited to play this game. I've heard so many good things about it. Again, the reason I haven't dived into some of these is because of these coverage games down here that I agreed to months ago, and then they all kind of just hit at once between June and July. We still have more games coming for coverage as well. But yeah. What else showed up? This was super cool. Finally showed up. I don't have the comic book. I don't know what I did with it. But this is the comic book collection from CMON. I backed only the Cthulhu Death May Die. We did a kind of a group pledge. I had a friend who also backed, but he did the Black Plague. And then another friend backed, and he did the Black Plague as well as the Cthulhu Death May Die. And when they showed up, I was like, man, I wish I backed more of the stuff because these are pretty sweet. So this is the comic book set that CMON does, where they will do a comic book series, and then they release also some miniatures or some sort of additional content for that game. So this one features additional player characters. So you have 6 additional player characters and then additional god that you can go against. So who is this? I can't even pronounce that name. Gnarl Lote. I don't even want to say it. Who knows? But you get 6 investigator, more investigators, which is almost like at this point overkill. You have so many investigators to play with, but it's just cool to get more stuff. Plus the comic book. I really wish it's somewhere over there in my desk area. I was checking it out. It looks really sweet. So wish I backed more. The Black Plague one even looked like a better value because you got an additional abomination and some more heroes. It had some like dual shaped heroes, which is pretty cool. But my friends obviously backed that one because I don't have that Zombicide, so no reason for me to back it. So the final 2 games. This just arrived, just the core game, and this is from Steamforged Games. And I mentioned, I reviewed Euthia for Steamforged Games, and very appreciative. I think they really enjoyed that coverage, so they sent me this as well for coverage. So I'm excited to finally play this because this was of like the what are they called, the boss battler games. It was Primal, Oathsworn, Monster Hunter World. Like those are some of like the big games, and I didn't back this one because I already backed the other 2. And I was like, I just can't afford to go in on all these games that have similar themes, but I still would love to have played it so I can give you guys my take when people are like, well, which boss battle do you appreciate? Well, now I'll know because I got this sent to me for coverage. We're going to be getting this, I'm hoping very soon. It just arrived literally today. So technically this should be part of the July video, but I was like, yeah, you know what? Throw it on the table because I'm filming today. So let's just get going. But yeah, Monster Hunter World. This is the Wildspire Waste from Steamforged Games. And the last one is one that I just bought yesterday. So should probably be part of the July episode, but whatever. And that is Ark's Conflict and Collapse in the Reach from Leader Games. And I didn't back this. I bought this from my local game store because I just hear so many people talking about it. And I didn't back it. I did a should you back on this one where I basically dived into this game, gave you my opinion, and I felt like the value wasn't quite there based on what you're seeing. But I felt like at this price, right now they're listing at $69, didn't have to pay for shipping. I was like, okay, I think that's worth it to go in on the retail version. It was close to what the backer price was. So I picked this up, excited to see what it is. I didn't get the all-in version, which included like the campaign as well as the miniatures. It looks cool. It comes with a giant box. All the miniatures and everything fits inside that box. The thing about that one though is that it's a campaign game where you play 3 games and like it carries forward your story, very similar to what Oath was trying to do. And I don't know how much my group is willing to play the same game that many times over before we go to something. Because obviously, I mean, look at the stuff, guys. I have so much stuff we have to get covered and played, you know, and this is just 1 month's worth of stuff coming in. So yeah, I decided not to go with the campaign version. They had it there as well. I don't know. Maybe I made a mistake. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you pick up do I return this and get the campaign version? And at what price point is it too expensive to buy it? You know, is it $150 too expensive? Is $170 too expensive? What is the break point that you're like, okay, there's enough content there, but at that price, it's still worth buying, even if you don't touch it. I'd love to know what your guys' thoughts are. And if there is a price, there might be no price. Maybe you just go with the retail version and it's good enough. So those are the newest games that have entered my collection. Now, we normally also talk about games leaving the collection. That's not going to be on this video, but I'll tell you right now, it's not enough games leaving the collection to make up for the glutton. Oh, there was one I missed. Okay, so I forgot to talk about this guy, Tenaris Adventures, if you can see it. The big box showed up, which was like the collection. I just bought like the boxes. This company is so silly because they sent me like four packages individually. Like, so you got this box, then they sent the dragon, which is cool, on its own, okay? Then I got another random little box. That's what I was putting up here, but I don't know where it went, of the stretch goals. And then I got another Tenaris Adventures box that's down there. It's way too big to carry. I'm like, why are you guys sending? Why can't you just like try to figure out a better way to do this? That's got to be so expensive for them to ship that way. But there's got to be reasons as to what they're doing. It just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, let's wrap this up. So anyways, in terms of the selling, there's tons of stuff I need to get rid of. I currently am in talks of potentially selling Eclipse, Second Dawn for the Galaxy. I'm in talks with one of our subscribers on my Aeon Zen Trespass Odyssey, whatever the heck it's called. In talks with that one, just because I don't know if I'm going to get to it anytime soon, and I'd rather someone enjoy it if it could sit up in my top. It's literally at the top of the calyx right now with Kingdom Death Monster, and who knows how long those will potentially sit there before I get a chance to actually get to them. I would probably have to end this channel before I got to that stuff. That's the reality. I would have to be like done doing board game content before I could pull those games off the shelf up there, because there's just too much stuff to do to keep up with. It's really hard. So anyways, that's part of the life of a board game YouTuber. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of rant and ramble here at the end, where I kind of talk about it. But that's the whole point of my channel, is to tell you guys what it's like and who I am and share those information. So if you guys liked it, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We'd love to have you join the community. And also, please check out the Discord. We'd love to have new people join the community. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you very soon.